Never before in the history of the human race has every piece of information been so accessible, but it doesn't need to be such a mess. Today we're redesigning Wikipedia, and before I get into the weeds here, I want to drop a disclaimer. The current design for Wikipedia is fine. It's function over form to the max. It loads really quickly and doesn't complicate things with too many styles. But in this particular design exercise, I'm really going to only apply alignment and spacing and typography treatments to show you how much of a difference that makes to an overall site aesthetic. We might also rearrange some parts of the layout for fun, but ultimately it's going to be a very light touch treatment here in this particular episode. But I've been wanting to do this for a while, so I'm excited to get stuck in. Here we've got the style guide as always. We've got just a random assortment of blacks and grays, the pretty standard toolkit that we've been using for the past couple episodes. And then we've got the very few colors that exist on Wikipedia. The primary blues and the secondary orange for like notifications and things like that. And as far as the fonts go, we're using Source Serif and Source Sans, both a very good pairing of fonts, because we want to preserve that kind of classical feel, the encyclopedia feel for Wikipedia, and we do that by keeping the serif font for the headers at the very least. So we've got our stories as always. At the end of the day, primary story is I want to learn more about a topic. But sometimes I need to disambiguate between terms. For instance, the word design is a very ambiguous term. What do you mean? Are you talking about the form of a spoon, or are you talking about web design? Sometimes they're considered the same thing, but other times I'm going to want to dive specifically into one vein over the other. I want to check source references to verify any claims made in the article. I want to easily navigate that article and view relevant photos and imagery as they're related to the topic. So just going to get stuck in here. Like I said, it's not going to be a very heavy treatment here, but it's going to be fun nonetheless. So I'll check back in with you guys in about an hour. Kicking off with the navigation as always, and here we're going for a radically simplified approach. I'm taking practically every non-essential link in the header, and the sidebar for that matter, and just removing it. I figured that if people really needed to contact Wikipedia or visit one of those subpages that are listed in the sidebar currently, they could do that in the footer. But the primary experience of using Wikipedia is searching for new articles, perhaps donating and logging in. So that's really all that's going to be in the header. Everything else has been completely removed for the sake of simplicity here. One of the first usability treatments I'm applying here, veterans of the channel may already know, is to simply reduce the width of the text container here. Whenever you have text that you're expecting a user to read, having it span the full width of a container is generally a bad idea, because people have very large monitors these days, very wide monitors, so you're expecting people to crane their neck from left to right to read an individual line. So you generally don't want very many words on a single line. There are some heuristics to follow, but generally speaking, all text that's supposed to be readable should be contained and the width restricted to a reasonable length. Now, of course, this table of contents did exist already, but it was kind of just embedded in the content body, and it didn't scroll with the user as they perused the page. So I felt like this was kind of a miss, and I'm basically tidying this up now to be a much more involved mechanism to controlling your experience of browsing an individual article here. And already you can see that the aesthetic just feels a little more clean. And this is strictly from using a more modern font, as well as figuring out the spacing between the header and the body content such that your eyes naturally know what containers are contained within each blog. So it's really remarkable how much of a difference just getting things spaced well does for a UI. Revisiting the inline alert that we saw from the original source image, I really like this treatment of just applying a single saturated orange line on the left-hand side of the container. This does enough to pull the user's attention, but doesn't completely overwhelm them with color and pull attention more so than is deserved here. And of course, no image on Wikipedia would be complete without captions, just making the text slightly smaller than the body text itself so that it doesn't pull the user's attention off to the right unless they're already looking at the image, in which case the text is clearly presented there. And given that Wikipedia is probably one of the most pervasive sites on the planet, I figured we could get away with removing the brand name as well and just persisting the logo. That way we could really feature the idea of this being a search-first experience, really encouraging that exploratory side of Wikipedia. And then of course, adding in this little American flag here to indicate to the user that this is a language picker of sorts is a very commonly established heuristic that we just persist as well. Okay, I think we've preserved the fundamental spirit of Wikipedia in a design that's still extremely functional, but just a little more modern with a lot more alignment and modern styling applied to it. So we've got just about everything you could do in the original UI, which you can see here, all the same content, the links are all kind of in the same general place. And in the new layout here, we've completely overhauled the navigation, pulled out practically everything that doesn't seem absolutely critical to what most users use Wikipedia for, really focused users on that search experience to emphasize the exploratory nature of Wikipedia, put a really simple table of contents on the left that follows the user down the screen, and then of course the main emphasis is on that body content, which has just been really optimized for readability throughout the entire flow here. So what do you think? Is this a Wikipedia that is more functional or less functional? Obviously this would take a smidgen more to load than the existing UI because it uses a little bit of CSS. That's style sheets that make websites look pretty for those of you that haven't drank the Kool-Aid yet. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, whether or not this is an improvement or a step backwards. This was fun for me. I really enjoyed this, and I hope you found some value in it as well. So until next week, keep on designing things, guys, and I'll see you later.